What is going on, everybody? So today we're going to be taking a look at price values of the top hits in each set for the SV era as well as booster box prices, and we're going to draw some conclusions based on what we should be doing in terms of investments right now. Before we get into this, and this is one of my favorite things to look at, so I'm really excited to do this. Before we get into it, one thing I wanted to point out of all these guys' booster boxes, I just thought this was funny. We talked about this yesterday, and there were a couple sales on TCG Player yesterday and then today, a couple today, 1460, 1495, and 1485. So almost $1,500 on TCG Player. Again, keep an eye on these Sword and Shield boxes, guys. We might be entering another leg up. I thought it was going to take a little bit longer, but it's something to watch for sure. So in this data, we have our booster box price. We're also going to be looking at the specialty sets from the SVR as well. So we put the ETBs over there. Top 1, 3, 5, 10 value. We've done this before. We're going to talk about some things towards the end of the video as well. So getting into this, SV base, nothing crazy right now, guys. And I love doing this every once in a while, and I think this was a really good time to do it just because a lot of these singles have price corrected, and everything's kind of balanced out at this point. And I think that's kind of what makes it a really good time to look at this. But SV era, or SV base rather, nothing too crazy going on. You have the Gardevoir around 50 still, which is a good sign that it's holding around 50. The Curlia and the Ralts, those are the top three cards right now. The Drowsy's dropped to fourth at around $30-ish, and the Riolu around $25. And then you have Miriam in there. Crazy, this was the top card for the longest time in the set. Slowpoke, Miraidon. In terms of value, we have top card $51-ish, top three 115, 170, 265, top 10. Nothing crazy, right? Nothing crazy in terms of value here. And as of recording today on April 19th, this is the lowest booster box in terms of price out of the SV era, sitting around $192, even though it is the oldest. But next up, Paldea Evolve, $233. You have the Magikarp top hit around $215. Iono up there, Raichu, Tyranitar, same characters we've known and loved this whole era. Nothing's really changed in terms of the top hits. Skeledirge, Chuyu. Sprigatito's moved up a little bit. Same thing with Heracross sitting around $22 still, even after a lot of these IRs have pulled back. That's kind of surprising. That card's just continued to climb. Sudowoodo, I really love this card. Florgato, Meowscarada, like just so many great cards. Paldea Evolved in general too, post reprint has just absolutely crushed it. We really didn't even see a price drop on this, and it's now selling over $240 essentially at this point. Not too far behind Surging Sparks, which we'll talk about later in this video. Top hit, again, it's one of the best in the era, just behind Twilight and Surging right now. Top 3 value solid, top 5 value, and then top 10 as well. Just behind a couple sets there. Obsidian Flames, my favorite set in the era, sitting around 209, and just so many great cards in this set. Like, it's just so deep. It's just an amazing set. I love all of these cards. Oh, they're just so great. Charizard top hit $56. Another gold Charizard, Ninetales around 20, Cleffa. A lot of these cards, these IRs have pulled back. You guys can see the value here. Top 10 value, $171.24. That is the worst out of any mainline set in the SV era, and even ETB sets. Like it's worse than Shrouded Fable. Shrouded Fable surprisingly has double of the top 10 value compared to Obsidian Flames. Paradox Rift next up, sitting around $192. Did I mark that differently on the booster box? No, I didn't actually. So Paradox Rift is just slightly higher than SV base right now. Top hit $82. That is the Groudon. It's pulled back a fair amount from around $100. It's like a 20% decrease there. Altaria, the Roaring Moon, the Garchomp's taken a hit. Goldango, Steelix, those have kind of stayed similar. Iron Valiant, like a lot of these have stayed fairly similar. Seen, little pullbacks. Top 10 value in Paradox Rift. I feel like this is better than the last time we looked at this. Surprisingly, $372 puts it above SV base, Obsidian Flames, and it's still behind everything else except Stellar at this point. And I'm going to try and go through this a little bit faster, guys, because I don't want to waste your time. You can already see it. Temporal Forces around $200. You have the Raging Bolt still holding around 100. Iron Crown, Walking Wake around 60. Morty's Conviction around 50. Same thing with Gouging Fire. So the top hits in the set haven't done too much in terms of change there, and you can see it's a pretty mid set, like not mid as in bad, but it's like middle of the pack. Temporal Forces there. Twilight Masquerade $219. The Greninja's sitting at $353. Let's see if I can bring this up here. What I love about Twilight Masquerade, which has kind of come out over the past month and a half, is that it has some popular trainer cards. You have the pairing, you have the Carmine, some waifu element there. Both of those have overtaken the Eevee at this point. The Blood Moon Ursaluno is holding around 40 as well. I actually don't mind that artwork. Outside that, you have the Ogre Pawn Masks, which are pretty meh. Lana's Aid, which is a cute card, but around 20 bucks. And the Tatsugiri, the sushi card, has come up to around $20 as well. So I guess that's cool. You have Growlithe and Chansey in there. So nothing too crazy, but I really get Lost Origin vibes when I look at Twilight Masquerade. You have a top hit that just crushes it. Then you have a couple decent supporting cards, and then outside of that, nothing too crazy in terms of depth. But the top card is just so solid that it does give it the second highest value in terms of top 10 value out of all of the mainline sets. And even like it has the top hit of the era in terms of top 1 value, but then top 3 value, Surging Sparks overtakes it basically past that point. Stellar Crown, I'm not a big fan. I'm sitting around $201, $202. The Squirtle top hit now $62. Terapagos and Bulbasaur. Everything else below it, nothing crazy. You guys can see the values here. Nothing impressive, nothing to write home about. It's behind Paradox Rift at this point, even though it's a more expensive box and is a younger box, I guess you could say. Paradox Rift came out much earlier than Stellar Crown. Surging Sparks, this is where we get into some interesting stuff. The most expensive box right now. You have seen a pullback in some of these top hits. The Pikachu down to around $340. Latias sub 200 at this point, which is interesting. Milotic still holding strong around 120. The Pikachu $76 there. Hydreigon 65-ish. But one thing to point out about Surging Sparks is the top 10 value is now under $1,000. When we looked at this last time, it was, I think, $1,050 or something like that, $1,100-ish. And then finally, Journey Together, booster box around $232. The top hit's $200. That's the Lily's Clefairy. We can take a look at this right here. Salamence holding over 100, and Zoroark down to around 90s. Bellabolt 85-ish range, Hopsation, Volcanion top 6 cards there. I italicized all of this because it's still a really new set, so we're going to have to wait and see where these prices go. In terms of specialty sets, 151 ETBs, almost $210 at this point, which is impressive. Again, we kind of saw this stagger around the 200 price point. Maybe it's slowly moving up. The Charizard, $220. That was up to around $300 at its high, so that's come down a lot. The Blastoise, same sort of deal with the Venusaur. These were up to like $85, $90, I think, at one point. Pulled back a lot. Zapdos around 50, Charmander around 52. This one's actually held pretty decently, I think. Squirtle 47, Alakazam 45. When we look at values here, the top hit, not too bad, but still behind Paldean Fates and Prismatic, which we'll look at later in this video. And top 10 value around $667. Next up, we'll take a look at Paldean Fates, I guess, over here. ETB's $128. The Bubble Muse down to around $330. The Charizard's holding pretty decently, around $185, $187. Gardevoir, $83. That's held pretty decently as well. And then you have all of the baby shinies after that. Next up, Shrouded Fable holding around $55 in ETB. Nothing crazy in terms of these hits. This Persian was up to like $85 right at one point. Now sitting around 47. Pheasantipity, which is a playable card, has actually overtaken it again. Earthen Vessel up there in the top 3. So really not a good sign for a set when 2 of your top 3 cards are playable cards, right? And a lot of value is drawn to that. And then also all of them being sub $50 is just not good. The Houndoom's holding around 35, but again, this was up to like $50, $55, I think, right at one point. And some decent IRs in there. And you can kind of see that reflected in top 10 value, $362-ish. Again, not terrible. That's higher than Stellar Crown. That's almost higher than Paradox Rift. It's higher than Obsidian Flames and SV Base. But then finally, I guess we'll just talk about Prismatic, Shrouded Fable, whatever, guys. Like, if you have this, I think there's just a ton on the market. It's nothing worth investing in right now, in my opinion. You're going to be sitting on those for a while. But Prismatic, $136 in ETB. And crazy that we're getting a reprint here. But the values of these cards, guys, have just continued to climb. Even as a lot of SIRs and IRs have lost value, a lot of these evolutions have just continued to go back up. Sylveon's sitting around $550 right now. Leafeon holding steady around $450. That's overtaking the Espeon, which is holding around $420. Vaporeon $385, Glaceon $340. The Jolteon's even back over $300 at $320-ish range. Flareon, same deal. Surprising to me that the Flareon is the least expensive evolution right now. That is a bit surprising. Roaring Moon has pulled back from over $300 to around $270. And then the Eevee rounds out the top 10. But one thing I wanted to point out, which is down here in this bolded text, because the top 10 value, the values in general are outrageous. The Umbreon $1,400-ish, top 3, top 5. Top 10 value $4,700. But the top 20 value of Prismatic is over $6,000, $6,006.78. That means there's essentially a $1,300 value between the number 11 and 20 cards. That value of the 11th to 20th values is higher than any other set's top 10, which is just insane to think about. Outside that, when I look at this data, I still think Paldean Fate's ETBs compared to 151 are undervalued. But if I was going to pick buying Paldean Fates at 130 or Prismatic at 130 or 135, I'm definitely going with Prismatic. And even just opening sets right now, right? Like, what would you prefer to open and try and get a top chase card in? Would you rather open something like Prismatic where the top 20 cards essentially, or not top 20, maybe top 17, I think, all of those cards are over $100, right? Like there are tons and tons of chase cards in that set. I know the pull rates are bad, but still, like there's a very good opportunity you can pull something decent compared to like Obsidian Flames. The top card's $56. Like that's not going to get anyone's dopamine going. And even sets like Paradox and Temporal, like sure, there are lots of decent chases in this. Like I would love to pull the Groudon or the Raging Bolt EX, the SIR, but still, like it's not going to give you an insane rush. And when I think about gambling and I think about people opening booster packs and booster boxes and ETBs in the future, trying to chase certain cards, like it's just the sets that have those solid chases that are going to do the best. And I understand people don't agree with that, and it's not always reflected in the data. I mean, if you look at Obsidian Flames booster boxes right now, $210, we've kind of entered a new era with SV era where the IR cards and some depth is valued and people enjoy opening a box and getting some of those cards. But I'm still not convinced that long term that is going to be the most relevant factor to when people do box breaks in the future or they want to open sets and packs. So I think it ultimately just comes down to how you view it and what your opinion is long term on chase cards and their value and how that's going to correlate to booster box and ETB pricing. But if I'm looking at this data, all I would be picking up right now is Prismatic. Thankfully, I have a ton of Prismatic already, so I don't feel the need to even get a larger position right now. I will, if I see decent deals, probably pick up some more ETBs, but compared to all the booster boxes, I would just be going for Prismatic. And then even after that, probably Paldean Fates, as ridiculous as that sounds. If you do want to go for a booster box, Surging Sparks looks like a decent price. Twilight Masquerade, and then probably Paldea Evolved just because it's older. Like those are the three that we've talked about all the time. Compared to the other sets, I just think they're a step above. And I heard someone say yesterday that they thought Paradox Rift was going to be, well, they said Paldea Evolved was going to be the first $300 booster box, and then Paradox Rift was going to be the next $300 booster box. I personally just don't see that happening. I think the second one out of the SV era, if we're excluding Destined Rivals, out of these ones on this list, basically, it's probably going to be Surging Sparks or it's going to be Twilight Masquerade. But as always, you guys let me know in the comments down below what you think of this data, what you're buying or selling right now. Also, I hope you guys are having a great weekend. Thank you for supporting the videos. Stay safe wherever you are in the world, and I'll catch you in the next one.